We made a great progress so far, and we created our population combined query, and we will now continue working on this query. Specifically, we will work on the columns and see which columns are required or which columns we might want to delete to keep our data model as lean as possible later. For that, I select the log ID column here, and as said before, you can use the left and right arrow keys on the keyboard to navigate through the columns. If we look at the column content, the location ID, the location, time, and also the age group are fine. We might want to rename these towards the end of this lecture. But here, our age group start column, I don't think we need this information, because the information regarding the age group of the population in a specific row is already here, so we could delete this column. Now, the most obvious way to do this would be to either right-click onto it and press remove, or to go to the home ribbon, here to remove columns, and then select remove columns. I'm totally aware of that, you could do this, but I want to dive a bit deeper at this stage. Because what about this option here, for example, remove other columns? Well, we selected age group start, so if we want to remove the other columns, well, this means we will remove the other unselected columns. So if we do that, you see all columns are gone, the only remaining column was the initially selected one. A nice feature, but not what we need at this stage, I would say. Therefore, let's undo this step. And let's now again explore our Manage Columns menu here. Because besides removing columns, we also have this Choose Columns option. If you click this in the lower part of this button, you again have two options: Choose Columns or Go to Column. Let's start with Go to Column. And here, you can now select the column you want to select in the end. You can either select these columns directly here, or you can search for a specific column. For example, in our case, age, and then GRP start, so this one. If we select this column and press OK, you see we now selected this column. And what we can do now is, of course, we can finally go to remove columns and remove it. And it's gone. Why would this feature be helpful? Well, imagine that you have maybe 20, 30, or 50 columns, and then you, well, could either navigate manually through the columns, like this here, and then go from column to column, or you simply use this choose columns, go to column function, and with that, you can quickly navigate to the column that you want to select. However, we have still one column left we don't need, and this is the age group span column here. To remove this one, we have plenty of options again. I would like to show you the third option to interact with columns here. For that, we again go to Choose Columns, and now Choose Columns once again. And here we cannot directly select which columns we want to keep in our Power BI Desktop project. Important, this refers to the only columns still available in our table, so we deleted our age group start column. This is of course not displayed right here, but we see that all remaining columns are here. Now, for us, I want to get rid of this age group span here, so let's untick that box. And if we confirm this, you see that this column is also gone. So this is how you can interact with columns and easily improve the structure of your project and making it a lot leaner. However, I'm now happy with the amount of columns we have, at least for the moment, but I'm not totally happy with the naming conventions we have for our columns. Here, the first column, log ID, let's double click this one and change it. And let's maybe call this column not location, but country ID. Maybe with a dash to avoid any unwanted empty spaces and things like that in our project. Totally optional, of course. So as we named it country ID, let's also name this one country. The third column, well, would be the year. I think time is not totally appropriate. Here we could say we have our age minus group. So again, the dash I already mentioned. Then we have the population male column. Here the population female column. And finally the population total column. The whole renaming is of course optional. As I said, I just want to be very explicit regarding our naming conventions here to make it easier for you to navigate through the project file. With the work on our columns being finished for the moment, we are actually done with the first important steps of our data preparation and cleaning. There are still a lot of things to work on though, Because, for example, if I select our age group here and go to the filter and then click on to load more, well, I see some problems. For example, this 14th minus October. That's definitely not an age group here. Therefore, let's continue and let's see what we can do with such wrong information.